When you open your eyes in the morning, you're not just waking up to a new day. You're stepping into a field of infinite possibilities. A field where the only limits are the ones you bring with you. Before your feet touch the ground, you have a choice to remain anchored to the familiar past or to step into the unknown future where creation begins. That sacred space between sleep and wakefulness, when your brain is shifting from delta to theta to alpha, is the perfect doorway into transformation. Because in that window, your subconscious is wide open. It's not bound by time. It's not confined by old beliefs. It's listening. So the question is, what are you telling it? Each morning is a ceremony, a rehearsal for the life you want to live. And the way you begin your day determines whether you'll repeat your past or create your future. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and energy first thing in the morning, you begin broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature into the field. One that isn't anchored to yesterday's limitations, but to tomorrow's potential. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. And when your state of being matches the energy of abundance, love, health, or freedom, then life has no choice but to meet you there. This morning, meditation is your moment to condition your body into a new mind, to surrender the stress of yesterday, to let go of who you think you are, and remember who you were always meant to be. You're not here to chase abundance. You're here to align with it. You're not here to fix your life. You're here to create it. And it starts now with one breath, one emotion, one intention. Let's begin. There is a moment just before the noise of the day begins, when the world is still quiet and your body hasn't yet remembered who you were yesterday. Your eyes may be open, but your mind is still soft, still fluid, still resting in the mysterious space between the subconscious and the conscious. In that fleeting window, your brain is operating in lower frequency brainwave patterns, alpha and theta, where the veil between your conscious desire and your unconscious programming becomes thin. This is the moment of incredible power, the moment when you have the greatest access to change. Before the analytical mind fully wakes up, before your memory of who you think you are returns, you are in direct conversation with your subconscious. And that's the mind that runs your life. Most people wake up and immediately check in with their problem. They remember their schedule, their to-do list, their stress. They identify with the past, and without realizing it, they begin the process of thinking and feeling in ways that reproduce the same personality, the same reality, the same chemical state of being. The mind starts thinking about yesterday's limitations, and the body, so used to feeling emotions of lack, fear, or frustration, begins to crave those familiar feelings. The body becomes the mind, and without even getting out of bed, the individual has already set the tone for the rest of their day. They've re-entered the same predictable future because they've connected to the emotions of their known past. But what if, instead of allowing the body and the subconscious mind to dictate who you are, you took control of that precious space between waking and doing? What if you recognized that in the first 20 minutes after waking, you are biologically and neurologically primed for change? That the chemistry of your brain is not yet hardwired into yesterday's identity, and your body hasn't fully remembered its emotional addictions. This is your window. This is your access point. This is your moment to rewrite the program. When your brain is in theta, it is operating the way it did when you were a child. This is the state in which beliefs are formed. It is a deeply receptive state of mind, ideal for unlearning and relearning, for downloading new patterns of thought and emotion. This is not a time to simply think about your goals. This is the moment to feel the life you want to live so deeply that your brain doesn't know the difference between that inner experience and reality. This is the time to teach your body emotionally what your future feels like. And when you do, you begin to hardwire new circuits, build new neural architecture, and signal new genes in new ways. You are not reacting to the past. You are rehearsing the future. Imagine waking up and instead of reaching for your phone or reactivating your stress hormones, you simply bring your awareness to your breath. You center yourself in the present moment. You become aware of your body lying in the bed. You feel the rhythm of your heart. And then you ask a powerful question: who do I want to be today? You don't answer that question intellectually. You answer it emotionally. You generate the feeling of that future self. You cultivate gratitude not for something that's already happened, but for something you are creating. You create a coherent signal between your heart and your brain. You entrain your physiology into a new frequency, and when you get up from that meditation, you are no longer the same person who woke up. You are now broadcasting a new electromagnetic. You are telling the universe not what you want, but who you are. And when who you are aligns with your vision, the field begins to mirror that change back to you. Opportunities show up, synchronicities appear. The right people come into your life, not because you forced it, but because you tuned into the signal that matches your desired future. The morning mind is a gift. It's the slate on which you can write your highest intentions. But it requires presence. It requires you to step out of the automation of survival and into the consciousness of creation. Most people miss this moment because they're in a hurry to become their old self again. They rush into their past. They pick up yesterday's thoughts and feelings like old clothes and wear them into the new day. But you are not here to repeat. You are here to evolve.
So use that sacred window wisely. Use it to install new beliefs, to rehearse elevated emotions, to align your heart and your brain. Use it to fall in love with your vision, to feel into your future so completely that your body begins to believe it's already real. Because when your body believes, it doesn't need to wait for the event to occur. It begins to biologically become that future in the present. Your chemistry changes, your biology shifts, your neurocircuitry rewires, and the more often you do this, the easier it becomes, until one day you wake up and you no longer have to remember to be that future version of yourself. You are it. It's not something outside of you. It's who you've become. And that transformation didn't begin with effort. It began with awareness. It began with honoring the moment just after waking as the most powerful moment of the day. It began with choosing consciously to break the habit of being the old self. Because in the absence of that old self, in the space where the past no longer defines your future, you find something extraordinary. You find freedom, you find creativity, you find alignment with the universe, and from that alignment, all things are possible. You can have the most beautiful thoughts, the most vivid intentions, the most clearly defined goals, but unless you can feel them, unless you can emotionally embody them, they remain ideas, intellectual concepts, held only in the mind. And the universe doesn't respond to what you think you want. It responds to who you are being. That being is determined not only by your thoughts, but more powerfully by the emotions you are broadcasting into the field. Emotions are the language of the body, and the body is the subconscious mind. So if you wake up and say you're abundant, but you're still feeling lack, your body is in opposition to your mind. Your conscious mind may be dreaming of a new life, but your subconscious is still emotionally anchored to the old one. That incoherence creates resistance. And when you're in resistance, you're not in flow. Most people are trying to create a new life from a state of survival. They're trying to manifest freedom while feeling fear. They're visualizing abundance while emotionally addicted to scarcity. And the field is reading all of it. It's reading the incoherence. It's responding to the emotional signature you are emitting, not the picture you're holding in your head. This is why the key to true transformation is emotional mastery. Because when you learn to feel elevated emotions ahead of the event, your body begins to believe the future has already happened. And the moment you do that, you move from cause and effect into causing an effect. Think about this. When you remember a painful memory, you can feel the hurt again. Your body produces the same chemicals. Your heart responds as if the threat is real, and your brain reinforces the old neural network. You are reliving the past biologically. Now imagine if you could do the opposite, if you could anticipate a future event so clearly, so fully, with such emotional intensity that your body begins to believe that future is happening now. That is the secret. That is the formula. You become the future in the present moment. And when you do, you change your energy. You are no longer signaling from your past. You're broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature into the quantum field, one that aligns with health, with love, with abundance, and life begins to rearrange itself to match that new vibration. But how do you cultivate these elevated emotions authentically? You start by choosing them before there's any reason to. You begin to fall in love with a future you cannot yet see, but can feel. You breathe in gratitude for a life that has not yet happened. You open your heart, not because your environment gives you permission to, but because you've decided to lead with your heart instead of your past. Gratitude, joy, love, freedom, these are not just pleasant emotions. They are signature. They are energetic frequencies that carry intention beyond the limits of the analytical mind. When you feel gratitude as if your healing has already occurred, your body begins to move out of stress and into regeneration. When you feel joy for the life you are creating, your cells begin to vibrate different. When you embrace love for the unknown, your heart emits a measurable magnetic field that influences matter. This is not just philosophy, it is biology, it is neuroscience, it is the science of transformation, and it begins with a decision to feel the future now. People often ask, how can I feel something that hasn't happened yet? The answer is, you must become greater than your environment, greater than your body, and greater than time. You must close your eyes and go with it. You must remove the sensory input that reminds you of who you think you are. And in that silence, in that stillness, you begin to imagine, not from the known, but from possibility. You start with the vision, yes, but then you infuse it with emotion. You rehearse what it would feel like to walk as that future self, to speak as them, to love as them, to live from a heart so open that the past no longer fits inside of you. This takes practice, because your body is a creature of habit. It wants to return to the familiar emotion. It wants to feel the same stress, the same guilt, the same frustration it felt yesterday. That's what it knows. And the moment you try to feel differently, your body resists. It says, this is unfamiliar. This is uncomfortable. But that's the signal. That's the threshold. When your body starts to complain, when it starts to crave the old emotional addiction, that's when you know you're changing. And your job is to stay with the elevated emotion long enough for the body to surrender to the mind. That's when you recondition it to a new emotional baseline. That's when it becomes familiar with joy, with love, with abundance. The stronger the emotion you feel, the more powerful the signal you send into the field. That's why people who heal from disease often do so not by trying to fix the body, but by creating a new state of being. They feel so much gratitude for life, so much joy for the smallest things, so much love for their own existence, that their chemistry changes, their immune system responds, genes turn on, healing begins, all because they change the way they feel. And this applies to abundance too. Money, opportunities, relationships, these are not goals to chase. They are reflections of the energy you are emitting. When you feel lack, you send out a signal of not enough. And the universe says, yes, you are right. Here's more not enough. But when you feel whole, when you feel like you already have what you desire, when you act as if it's already yours, and you embody the energy of abundance, then you are no longer chasing. You are attracting. You are becoming a magnet for the very thing you once longed for. The body doesn't know the difference between an experience created by the mind and one created by the outer world. So why wait for the experience to happen to feel good? Why wait for the healing to feel grateful? Why wait for the relationship to feel love? Why wait for success to feel worthy? Feel it now. Teach your body now. Signal the genes now. Send the message now. Because the moment you feel it, you become it. And the moment you become it, the universe begins to reflect. You're not here to react to your life. You are here to create it. And creation begins with the energy you carry. So give your body a new emotional story. Rehearse it every morning. Practice it until it becomes your baseline, until it becomes your personality, until it becomes your identity. Because when you do, the future is no longer something you try to manifest. It becomes something you live from. And that is where the magic begins. There is an invisible intelligence that moves through everything, an organizing principle that creates galaxies, beats your heart, grows your fingernails, orchestrates the rhythm of life itself without your conscious control. You don't have to think about digesting your food or circulating your blood. Something far greater than you, yet also within you, is doing it for you. And when you begin to realize that this universal intelligence is not separate from you, that it's the very same energy that breathes life into your being, you start to understand the incredible power of aligning yourself with it. You stop trying to force life to happen, and instead you start flowing with the current of creation. This is where synchronicities are born. This is where miracles live. This is where the universe begins to meet you at the level of your surrender. Most people live their lives in a constant state of trying to control the outer world. They try to manipulate circumstances, hold tightly to expectations, cling to outcomes, and in that constant effort to control, they disconnect from the natural rhythm of life. They become separate from the field. But when you let go of the need to know how and when something will happen, and instead you rest in the certainty that it's already done in the quantum field, that's when the field begins to organize events on your behalf. That's when the doors open. That's when the coincidences become so precise, so extraordinary, that you can no longer call them random. To align with the universe is to live in coherence. When your heart and brain are in coherence, when your thoughts are clear and your emotions are elevated, you're broadcasting a pure signal into the field. You're not trying to make something happen from a state of lack. You are simply being the energy of what you desire. And the field, being a mirror, reflects that energy back to you in the form of new opportunities, chance encounters, and spontaneous events that move you closer to your highest destiny. We've been taught to believe that we are separate from everything, separate from each other, separate from the earth, separate from the divine. But when you enter a deep meditative state, when your personality dissolves and the identity you've constructed falls away, you enter the unknown. And in the unknown, you are no longer your name, your job, your age, your path. You are pure awareness. You are consciousness observing itself. And in that space, you can merge with the intelligence that animates all life. You become the field. You become the observer and the observed. You become one with the universe. This isn't just a spiritual idea. It's supported by science. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body. Your brain sends out measurable frequencies. Your thoughts and emotions create a signature. And when that signature is coherent, when it's organized, when it matches the frequency of your desired future, the field picks it up. And through the principle of resonance, it begins to draw events and people into your experience that are on that same frequency. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are being. So many people ask, why isn't my life changing? Why am I doing the work and not seeing results? And often the answer is that their outer effort is not matched by their inner alignment. They're meditating, they're visualizing, but they're doing it from a place of frustration, from impatience, from desperation. They're trying to change their environment without changing their energy. But the field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to the vibration you carry. So the key is to become so present, so in love with life, so filled with gratitude and joy for simply being alive, that you are no longer attached to the outcome. That's when the magic happens. Let me tell you, when you surrender to the intelligence of the universe, it knows the fastest, most elegant way to bring your vision into reality. It sees the path you cannot see. It understands the timing you cannot comprehend. But it requires trust. It requires you to release control. It requires you to stop trying to force creation from the known and instead step into the unknown with faith. When you do that, you shift from effort to energy. You shift from doing to being. There's something profound that happens when you wake up in the morning, and instead of rushing into your day, you sit in silence. You connect to the field, and you ask to be used as a vessel. You say, how can I serve the greater whole today? How can I be an instrument of love, of healing, of creativity? When you do this, you're no longer operating from the ego, which always wants, always needs, always fears. You're operating from the soul, and the soul doesn't chase. The soul radiates. The soul attracts. The soul lives in the frequency of the eternal now. The more time you spend in that field, the more you practice becoming nobody, no thing, nowhere, in no time, the more you become unified with the all. And in that state, there is no separation between you and your creation. You're not looking for abundance. You are abundance. You're not hoping for love. You are love. You're not praying for healing. You are health. In the moment you feel that truth, in every cell of your being, the universe responds with a whisper. Yes, this is who you really are. And then you walk through your life with a quiet confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you are in alignment with the source of all answer. You move with a lightness, not because your life is free from challenge, but because your energy is no longer determined by your circumstances. You radiate coherence, and people feel it. They may not know why, but they are drawn to you. They trust you. They're inspired by you. And that's because you are living from a frequency that most have forgotten. To align with the universe is to remember your true nature. It's to return to the intelligence that created you. It's to live not from fear, not from effort, but from connection, from trust, from surrender. It's to allow the invisible to shape the visible, to let the quantum organize the material. And the more you let go, the more you align, the more you align, the more you receive. And the more you receive, the more you realize it was never about getting anything. It was about becoming who you were always meant to be. The moment you wake up in the morning, before your feet even touch the floor, your brain is already firing with the memories of yesterday. You remember who you are. You remember your problems. You remember what's missing, what hurts, what worries you. And without even realizing it, you begin to think in the past. The body follows. The emotions of stress, frustration, doubt, or fear begin to rise. And now your body is living in the past. Your chemistry is reinforcing yesterday. Your energy is broadcasting a familiar signal into the field. And your day starts on the same path it always does. This is how we remain stuck in cycles, how we continue creating the same reality over and over again. But what if, before you opened your eyes, before you remembered your identity, you became no one, no thing, nowhere, in no time? What if you chose, in that sacred gap between sleep and wakefulness, to create a new self? This is the moment to change. That fleeting space, right when your brain and body are moving from delta to theta to alpha, is the golden doorway. It is the access point to the subconscious. And in that state, the mind is malleable, the body is listening, and the field is wide open. You are not yet fully anchored to the material world. You're still floating in possibility. And from that place, you can begin to reprogram your mind and body for a new destiny. You can begin to choose thoughts that are unfamiliar, yet aligned with the future you desire. You can introduce emotions that feel elevated, even if there's no external reason for them. You can literally begin to become a different person by firing and wiring new neural pathways before the day even begins. So instead of rehearsing your past every morning, what if you rehearsed your future? What if you envisioned yourself walking into the day with an open heart, feeling empowered, inspired, creative, free? What if you imagined your interactions going beautifully, your body feeling vital and alive, your work flowing with ease and meaning? The more you rehearse that future with feeling, the more your brain begins to believe it's real. Your body starts to respond, your chemistry changes, and you are no longer living by the unconscious programs of the past. You are creating from the unknown. This is not about wishful thinking. This is not about hoping life will change. This is about becoming the change, because your personality creates your personal reality. And if you want to change your personal reality, you have to change your personality. That means changing your thoughts, your behaviors, your emotional patterns. It means breaking the addiction to the familiar self, the one that's been conditioned by past experiences. And it means stepping into the uncertainty of who you are becoming with trust. People say, but it's hard to change. Of course it's hard. You're asking your body to break free from an identity it's memorized over decades. You're asking it to feel differently, think differently, respond differently. You're disrupting the predictable chemical order that it's come to rely on. The body will resist. It will crave the old emotion. It will want to return to the known, even if the known is suffering. But that's the threshold. That's the moment of transformation, when you notice the body craving the past, and you make a different choice, When you say no, today I am going to think greater than how I feel. I'm going to act greater than my environment. I'm going to be greater than the program. That's when you begin to reclaim your power. And it starts with intention. Each morning, you must decide who you want to be, not reactively, not based on yesterday, but consciously. You sit in stillness and you design your day. You connect to your vision. You connect to your purpose. You breathe into your heart and awaken a state of gratitude for life itself. You teach your body how it's going to feel, not because something external caused it, but because you chose it. And as you do this again and again, the gap between who you were and who you are becoming begins to close. The body starts to believe the new story. The brain begins to hardwire new patterns, and eventually, it becomes familiar. There's nothing more powerful than starting your day as the future self you aspire to be, not waiting for life to change, to feel differently, but feeling differently, so life begins to change. You become magnetic. You walk into situations, not needing anything, but overflowing with presence. You don't look for the good in the day. You bring the good to the day, and the universe, always listening, always responding, begins to mirror that back to you in the form of synchronicities, opportunities, and unfolding events that align with your energy. This is what it means to align with the divine. It means you stop waiting to feel inspired, and you become inspiration. You stop needing to be loved, and you radiate love. You stop trying to solve problems from a limited state of consciousness, and you rise to a level where the problems dissolve because you are no longer the same person who created them. And this doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design, by choosing every morning to step out of the old self and into the new. That's why morning meditation is so vital. It's not about escaping the world. It's about preparing for it. It's about rehearsing your future until it becomes more familiar than your past. It's about training your body to be in the future emotionally, so it no longer waits for the world to give it permission to change. You give yourself that permission. You begin to think as the healed self, act as the abundant self, feel as the elevated self, and over time, you become that self. Consistency is the bridge, repetition is the tool, emotion is the catalyst. When you feel the vision as real, your brain doesn't know the difference between the inner and outer world. It begins to rewire itself to match that inner reality. The body, always listening to the brain, begins to chemically align with that vision, and the field, always responding to coherence, begins to orchestrate a reality that reflects it. That is how you shift timelines. That is how you bend probability. That is how you become the creator of your destiny. This is your power. You are not the victim of your day. You are the architect of it. And the blueprint is written each morning, in silence, in stillness, in intention. You wake up, you tune in, you align, not with your past, but with the potential of who you can be. And the more you do it, the more you become it. You move through your day, not as a memory but as a masterpiece unfolding in real time. You carry that energy into every thought, every action, every interaction, and life meets you there, not where you were, but where you have chosen to be. Most people wake up and begin thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, performing the same actions, and living by the same habits as the day before. This cycle becomes so automatic that they forget something very important. Every thought they think, every feeling they feel, and every choice they make is shaping their reality. The problem is that their identity is built upon memories of the past, and because their personality hasn't changed, neither does their personal reality. The body, which has become the subconscious mind, is running the show. And if the body is conditioned to be the mind, then nothing new can enter. The body is addicted to a predictable life. But what if you could interrupt that cycle? What if you could train your mind and body to respond not to your past, but to a future you're creating? This is where intentional practice becomes the key. When you begin to wake up and make a conscious effort to change your thoughts, to elevate your emotions and to act in new ways, you begin to signal to the body that it is no longer in control. And initially, the body resists. It tells you it's tired, it wants to be angry, it wants to feel lack, it wants to remember who you've always been, not who you are becoming. That's the moment most people stop. They give in to the familiar. They return to the automatic programs because they feel more real. But if you can notice the discomfort and still choose differently, you're breaking the spell. You are no longer a victim of your biology. You are reconditioning your nervous system. You are firing new synaptic patterns that reflect the future, not the past. Now, the key to making these changes permanent lies in repetition and emotional engagement. Your brain does not change just because you hope it will. It changes because you consistently teach it new ways to fire and wire. You literally build new neurological architecture through experience. The more you think a thought, the more you install it. The more you feel an emotion, the more you teach your body what it's like to live in that new reality. And over time, with enough consistency, that new internal state becomes your new personality. Let's say you want to become more grateful, more loving, more abundant. That's a beautiful intention, but it can't stop at the intention. It has to move into the body. You have to sit with yourself, breathe, and feel what it would be like to live in that energy. You have to practice gratitude, not because something good happened, but because you've trained your body to believe it already has. You need to fall in love with the idea of your future so deeply that it becomes more compelling than the history you've memorized. And this is not pretending. This is not bypassing. This is rewiring. Because when your body feels the emotions of your future in the present moment, it believes that the future is already happening. In this state, your heart opens. Your energy expands. You broadcast a different electromagnetic signal into the field, and the field, always responding to your energy, starts to rearrange circumstances and events to match the vibration you are living in. This is how change happens, not because you control the outer world, but because you transform the inner world. And as you sustain that transformation, the outer world catches up. The most beautiful part of this process is that it doesn't require perfection. It requires awareness. You will slip. You will notice yourself reacting in old ways, thinking familiar thoughts, falling into old emotional habits. But every time you notice, you have a choice. You can either stay unconscious and reinforce the past, or you can become conscious and redirect your energy toward the future. That choice, made consistently, is what transforms your identity. It is what upgrades your biology. It is what frees you from the past. And let's be honest, the past is a strong force. Your brain has been wired to expect certain outcomes. Your body has memorized emotional patterns for years, sometimes decades. Your environment is often a reflection of who you've been, not who you're becoming. But none of these things define what's possible for you. The moment you decide that your future is more important than your past, you begin the process of becoming. This is where discipline comes in. Not the kind of discipline rooted in punishment, but the kind rooted in love. The kind that says, I love myself enough to show up for my evolution. I love myself enough to sit in meditation and tune into the energy of my future, even when I don't feel like it. I love myself enough to practice gratitude when it would be easier to complain. That's the discipline that changes lives, because it's rooted in worthiness. It's rooted in belief. And the more you show up, the more your body begins to trust the new mind. It begins to believe you are serious about the change, and it will follow. Neuroplasticity tells us that the brain is capable of change at any age. Epigenetics tells us that genes are not your destiny. Your biology is fluid. Your brain is rewritable. Your energy is moldable. And every morning you wake up is another opportunity to move further away from who you were and closer to who you desire to be. It's not about one massive change. It's about the accumulation of small, consistent shifts. You catch a thought. You change it. You feel an emotion. You elevate it. You notice a behavior. You redirect it. These are the moments of mastery. Now imagine, after weeks or months of this practice, you no longer have to remind yourself to be grateful. You simply are. You no longer have to force yourself to stay present. You live. Your nervous system, once addicted to stress, now craves peace. Your mind, once trapped in overthinking, now opens to creativity. This is when you realize that the true work was never about fixing something broken. It was about remembering something whole. The future version of you has always existed in the field. The meditation, the alignment, the intention, these are the bridges that allow you to bring it into form. The moment you feel differently than you used to, that's a sign you're no longer the same person. The moment your environment no longer triggers the same emotional response, that's a sign you've outgrown the past. The moment you respond to life with awareness, rather than reaction, that's a sign you are mastering the art of change. And when you string enough of those moments together, you've created momentum. And momentum is power. It all comes back to one core truth. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your past. You are the consciousness that can observe and change all of them. You are the awareness that chooses the next thought, the next feeling, the next action. And the more you exercise that awareness, the more you step into your role as the creator of your life. This is not philosophy. It is biology. It is quantum mechanics. It is the merging of science and spirituality in a way that empowers you to live your highest potential. Every day is a blank slate. Every thought is a brushstroke. Every emotion is a color. You are painting the portrait of your life with your state of being. And the masterpiece begins, not when the world changes, but when you do. When you begin to truly live in alignment with the energy of abundance, something extraordinary happens. You stop searching for it outside of you. You stop waiting for your external conditions to change so you can finally feel free, successful, or fulfilled. Instead, you begin to embody those elevated emotions first, and then like a magnetic field pulsing through your being, life begins to reorganize itself around your new internal state. This is one of the deepest truths about transformation. The universe doesn't respond to what we want. It responds to who we are being. Most people live their entire lives waiting for the promotion to feel successful, waiting for the relationship to feel loved, waiting for healing to feel whole. They are unconsciously telling their biology, their mind, and the quantum field, I can only feel this way once something changes in my outer world. But that is the illusion. That is living as a victim of circumstances, rather than a creator of reality. Because the truth is, when you begin to feel successful, grateful, abundant, before any of those things physically manifest, you are sending a clear, coherent signal into the field. You're broadcasting a signature that says it's already happened. And the universe, responding in kind, matches that vibration with outcomes and experiences that reflect it. So the practice becomes internal. It's not about doing more, it's about being more. It's about waking up in the morning and sitting with yourself long enough to move beyond your limitations, to quiet the noise, and to tune in to the frequency of your future. You start with the breath. You slow down your thought. You shift from beta brainwaves, which keep you focused on the outer world, into alpha and theta, which open the door to your inner world. And from that state, you begin to feel, not think, but feel deeply, emotionally, viscerally, the reality you wish to create. You feel the emotion of abundance not as a future goal, but as a present fact. You feel the gratitude as if what you desire has already occurred. And as your body begins to believe that it's living in that new future, it starts to release the same chemical signals it would if the event had already happened. Your heart opens. Your brain becomes coherent. Your energy field expands. And now you're no longer trying to create from the old personality. You are creating from the future self. That self is no longer bound by your history. It's no longer anchored to your environment. It's free, it's clear, and it's in alignment with the intelligence of the universe. That's when the mystical begins to happen. You start noticing synchronicities. You receive insight or inspiration, seemingly out of nowhere. You attract opportunities that feel divinely timed. And it's not magic. It's the law of resonance. It's the result of becoming a vibrational match to the reality you desire. Most people want to create a new life, but do so from the energy of the old one. They say they want abundance but feel lack. They say they want love but feel lonely. They say they want health but feel broken. This creates incoherence. The field doesn't respond to words. It responds to frequency. You can say all the affirmations in the world, but if your energy is still rooted in fear, doubt, or unworthiness, those words will carry no power. So you must become so familiar with your future that it feels like the most real thing in your life. More real than your circumstances. More real than your pain. More real than your past. And the only way to do that is through daily mental rehearsal and emotional engagement. Just like an athlete rehearses the game-winning shot in their mind before they ever step onto the court, you must rehearse the life you want to live until your brain and body begin to believe it's true. When the mind and body are aligned, when thought and feeling match, you enter a state of coherence, and coherence is the gateway to creation. Let's say you want to manifest financial freedom. Instead of waking up and thinking about bills, debts, and limitations, you enter meditation and begin to embody the emotions of freedom, joy, and security. You see yourself living that life. But more importantly, you feel what it would feel like. You breathe it in. You become it. And then you carry that elevated state into your day. You make decisions from it. You speak from it. You act from it. And soon enough, that energy begins to transform the world around you. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. The same applies to health. If you are seeking healing, you must move out of the identity of being sick. That doesn't mean you ignore your condition. It means you no longer define yourself by it. In your inner world, you begin to feel whole, vital, radiant. You see yourself running, dancing, laughing. You teach your body what it feels like to be healthy. And your body, that subconscious mind, starts to respond. It begins to reorganize its biology to match the new emotion. This is the body as the servant of the mind. This is healing from the inside out. And the beautiful thing is, this process is available to everyone. You don't need a special gift. You don't need to be perfect. All you need is a willingness to show up, to sit in the unknown, and to surrender your old story. You must give up who you've been for who you can become. You must stop living by the emotions of your past and start living by the energy of your future. And yes, it takes practice. Yes, it takes consistency. But every time you choose to align with that future state, you are investing in a new destiny. You are not here to live a life of mediocrity or limitation. You are here to express the fullness of who you are. You are here to tap into the quantum field of infinite possibilities and pull from it the version of life that reflects your highest self. And that self is already within you. It's not something you need to find. It's something you need to remember. Every breath, every meditation, every moment of alignment is helping you peel back the layers of conditioning and reconnect with that truth. So as you move through your day, ask yourself, who am I being? Am I being the old self, living by the past? Or am I being the future self, broadcasting a new frequency into the field? That awareness is everything. Because the moment you catch yourself falling into old patterns and choose differently, you are no longer the program. You are the program. And that shift, that conscious act of choosing again, is the essence of transformation. This is how you begin to let abundance flow, not by chasing it, but by becoming the person who naturally attracts it. You don't seek to control reality. You seek to change your energy, and reality changes in response. You no longer look to the outside world to make you feel something. You bring that feeling to the world, and the world reflects it back to you. This is the path of mastery. This is the journey of becoming. This is living in alignment with the universe.